Hi, hockey fans. Welcome back to another weekly edition of This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey. I'm Mike Hammett, your host, along with Bill Berg and Bill Berg Jr. And we've got another junior along with us tonight, Brian Brandt Jr. How you doing, Brian?
Doing really good, guys. Thanks for having me.
You had your Warrior Showcase tournament last weekend.
Yeah, it was so the three teams that have been in it since the beginning has been ourselves, Notre Dame Academy, and Eau Claire Memorial. The other team, the fourth team, is kind of rotated on availability. This year we were scheduled to have Apple Valley, Minnesota come over, but COVID didn't allow them to travel in early fall. We had sent out a request to see if any teams are available. So Onalaska, at the time prior to sectionals coming out, was going to be a sectional game for us. So we had them come in for the fourth team in the tournament. I think overall it went really well. I think we had some good games in there for the most part, and I think that this time of year you just want to challenge yourself and make sure you can get better as you push for over the next month, the last month of the regular season here.
Playing Eau Claire Memorial and Notre Dame, in terms of playing talent, you can't get much more talented than that.
Totally agree. Those two teams are built for a long run this year. I think both of them have got a lot of experience and certainly a lot of skill to make a good run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was up there for 1 2/3 games on Friday. Bill was up there on Saturday. So I got to see Eau Claire Memorial and Notre Dame play, and that was a good game. I mean, it took over half the game before anybody scored. And then Eau Claire Memorial just timely shots, a nice deflection that got things started, and then they kind of rolled from there. But that was a very exciting game. Then you guys played on Alaska after that. It was a close game for the first period, and then you guys kind of took over, dominated the second and third period. But that was still a pretty good game.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall the games were pretty good. Like you said, in our game against Alaska, we gave up some early chances that a senior goaltender saved us a little bit in those spots and allowed us to play a little bit different in the second and the third.
Yeah, I didn't know how much I should bring this up, because I was somewhat surprised that Onalaska was able to get so many guys in front of your net, because your team generally plays very stout defense. So you don't give up those kind of chances. But I look on if you're relying more on your goaltender and taking more chances offensively, or just an off night for your defense, or what.
I think the first period was an off period for us. I felt like we were a little bit better after that in the second, the third. Obviously, offensively, we created some chances early on and weren't able to capitalize. But then the second and third, we were able to do that a little bit better. We seem to be a second and third period team this year, just based on statistically and momentum and that type of stuff. So I think we're a team that thrives as the game goes on a little bit, gets into the rhythm of the game, and hopefully can be better in the second and third. And I think you saw a little bit of that on Friday night.
Well, actually, I didn't stick around for the third. I was cold and it was past my bedtime, so I had to leave. It looked like you guys had the game solidly in hand by that point. I didn't. Well, now we'll save it for later. Bill, you got anything from Saturday?
Yeah. First period, you guys, again, you had a couple defensive miscues in that first period where Adam made some really nice stops. But, after that, that first goal that Eau Claire Memorial scored on you was, a shot from the point through like a whole roster's worth of guys. I don't think Adam ever even saw it. And then, their first power play goal was a beautiful tip, but you guys really tightened up. You guys played really good defense. You just weren't able to generate a lot of like high quality scoring chances. Eau Claire did a good job of keeping you guys outside.
Yeah, you look at the first two shots I think we had in the game were both off the post, or well, the first one was off the post like 5-6 seconds into the game, and then we had another one that went high at the goalie, and we had a good rebound opportunity. You know, where any team likes to score first, you know, and you like to think if one of those two finds a way into the net, it whether the outcome changes, I don't know, but it certainly changes the flow of the game at that time. But yeah, the first goal, I think everyone in the arena was between the shooter and Adam. I don't think he saw it at all. Um, and then you're right. I mean, they had the high tip on the power play goal. That was, I mean, what do you do there? You're standing right next to the guy, hits off his stick and goes in. I mean, it's you look at, like I told you guys before we started recording, it's our first power play goals we gave up since the Rapids game, and it's something that as a coach, you know, you're going to have to, special teams are super important. And that game was all about special teams. We were 0 for 4 on the power play. It's the first time we hadn't scored a power play goal in about 4 or 5 games. So, you know, again, it's a game of chances and opportunities, and against a good Eau Claire team like they are, if you don't take advantage of those, you're not going to have much of an opportunity to give yourself a chance to win.
Boy, you're going to see enough of Eau Claire this year too, being in the same sectional with them. But that's it. That is the sectional of death there. Wow. Whoever comes out of that's definitely, BJ, I'm sure you'd agree, is going to be pretty battle tested.
Yeah, I think, you know, you look at the way that the sectional shakes out. I mean, we've got some really good teams in there, and whoever's fortunate enough to be hot during that time period and play well for those 3 or 4 games that you got to play and win. I mean, you like to think you're going to have a really good opportunity to make some noise and go after a state championship. I mean, that's kind of how it went last year, and you look at that sectional, and there's going to be some teams that are battle tested, and you know, it's you may have changed what your definition of success is as you travel through that sectional.
Yeah, you look at our top 6, and half of them are in that section. If you expand and look at the computer rankings in the top 10, then you add 2 more, half of them are in that section. Even you go to the top 15, 7 of them are in that section. So yeah, that seems to be where the talent lies this year in the state. I mean, it varies from year to year, but right now it's kind of concentrated in the Northwest.
Yeah, and you've still got Hudson and Eau Claire North on your schedule coming up this year. Have you ever thought about just joining the Big Rivers Conference?
You know, that's funny because I feel like between our conference schedule and the Big River Conference, it's like we're doing crossover games all the time. But yeah, I mean, as the sectional changed, the first year that we went to 2 divisions, I wasn't sure where we were going to fit, what direction we were going to go, being in the center of the state. So we had scheduled a few from that direction, but also a few going east and a few going south. So, you know, this year, once we knew which direction we were going, it makes a lot of sense to have those games in hand when you go to the sectional meeting, and when you build your schedule. If you can get some head-to-head matchups and some wins in those games, it bodes well, because, you know, we're one of the few sports that still do the coaches meetings, that still do the coaches seatings. A lot of other sports have gone to electronic seating. I hope we don't go that direction. I just think it's a really good way to I think coaches get it right. Coaches do a really good job of doing their homework in those meetings. So, you know, they get it right. And I think in some cases it makes you feel like you have some ownership in it too.
I've had the chance to sit in on those couple of those meetings, the seating meetings. And Brian, I couldn't agree with you more. The coaches really do their homework. They stay on top of stuff. They come in with papers, and, you know, when it comes down to where you got 2 teams tied and they want to, you know, they got to break the tie, or somebody wants to challenge up or something. It's really neat to sit and watch the process. And I think I'm very confident in that you guys definitely do get it right.
And then, you know, speaking of sectionals and seating and all that, you know, this year, the year of the president of the WHCA, you know, this year we saw Superior and Waunakee are Division 1 this year, and Homestead is in Division 2. Is that something that, you know, we're going to be seeing every year, where there's a bunch of schools in the same general area in terms of student body, so they're bouncing back and forward between 1 and 2?
I think as co-ops, come and go, I think as schools sponsor hockey independently, I think, and as communities grow and as communities shrink, I think you'll always see a couple teams bounce up and down, whether it's by choice or they do it for just based on enrollment and where they lay. I think, when teams opt up, it's a 2-year agreement. They have to be up for 2 years. So I think, that plays into whether an organization decides or a school decides that they want to opt up to Division I. I think you kind of got to evaluate your program for the next 2 years when you go through that opt up process. I think, where we're at in the state, I think we feel like we're in a pretty good spot right now in terms of the competitiveness and how things are going between the Division II and the Division I. I think coaches are happy with it overall. I think that was the intent. I mean, we're still always trying as a coaches association group to grow and expand the state tournament, and we're certainly always going to want more teams to showcase more teams down at the state tournament every year. And I think that's always going to be one of our hot button items and agenda items as a group.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that, because I mean we've done quite a few Division II games, and the Division II coaches, it's kind of changed the way they approach things. Like we went up to Minocqua to see Amory play against Lakeland up there, and the same night Antigo was playing over at Baldwin Woodville. It's like the Division II teams are now doing that, scheduling teams from different sections of the state, for possible, matchup later on and that kind of thing. And I mean, that part of it seems to be working great, but I think everybody would still, rather see 8 teams in Division I and then 4 in Division II.
I mean, that's the angle we always bring from the coaches side of it. And it turns into a facility usage issue when we're with the girls state tournament and making sure that you can get all the games in. And more importantly, to ensure that the state tournament finals are televised. Like that's a big part of what we want to do as a coaches group, because it showcases our sport across the state of Wisconsin and showcases, lots of different communities to the state as to what hockey is in the high school world in our association. So I think, I think that's where our growth comes next is in that area. And I think, one of the hot button items all the time is the facility. We look at the Alliant Energy Center, and all of us probably would agree it's seen better days. It's had times in its life where it was a great arena for hockey. We're always looking to find better options and create a great environment for our high school athletes. As coaches, we talk about how the sectional final is in most cases a better environment than what the state tournament is. Now, the facility is there, and we want to, as coaches, we want to create a great environment. So if we have a smaller facility that we fill, I think that's just an outstanding opportunity for athletes to have a great environment to play a state tournament at. Even the COVID version that we had at Rapids a year ago, I thought was a great environment for a state tournament. I mean, just the way that place is set up. So we're always looking in that world too, to try to get a great chance and opportunity for some change maybe in the facility department.
How long is the WIAA signed up with the Alliant Energy Center? Any idea?
I do know this is the last year.
That smile says a lot right there.
Well, it says a lot because it's an opportunity here. We've got an opportunity right now to do some homework and put some data in front of the WIA and say, hey, there's other options here for you. Basically, let us know how we can help. And those are the conversations I've had with LeVar Ridgway, our new WIA liaison there, and he's been super great to work with, and he has some experience with facilities in the state of Wisconsin with his time at UW Milwaukee. So he's been really great to have some conversations with and at least get this going in a direction where, we always joked as coaches, they keep adding one more year to their 99-year contract. And we finally hit the end of that contract. And now is a good opportunity here to see what we can do next, because I think, we look at it from the boys and the girls side. Is there a moment that we need to split? Do we split those state tournaments up? And those are all options. I think right now, I think from the hockey world, we love being a part of the boys and the girls state tournament, just because it's great to watch the girls. As a father of 3 girls who hopefully will have an opportunity to compete in that arena, I love watching the girls hockey and the growth that it's had in our state. And selfishly, if we can keep it together, I think it'd be great for the game in our state.
Speaking of LeVar Ridgway, he owes us a podcast. He said he would come on. We asked him early in the season, and he said he wanted to take in a couple of games first. So he should have had ample opportunity to take in some games. So I'll have to contact him this week and see.
You should. He's been great. He's been great to work with. It's when somebody comes in new and isn't that familiar with the sport of hockey and the management side of it, he's just been awesome. He asks great questions of me. He asks great questions of our group, and the questions that he can't answer from us, he certainly does a good job of finding an answer. So he's been really good to work with.
Brian, I look here. One of the things we want to talk about also is WIAA updates for this year. A few of the things that the WIAA have changed for rules and whatever else they have.
Yeah, like we got caught by surprise this year. We did not know that the overtime rules changed.
So I'll give you the background on that. The previous liaison, at the state tournament, they don't want 5 overtime games anymore that last multiple hours. They want a winner. I think it comes down to TV time. I mean, that's the reality to it. So when they implemented so that they go 5-on-5 for 3 overtimes, then they go 4-on-4, 3-on-3. And during that process, I think as coaches, we can all agree that that's a super exciting way for games to end. It's a super exciting thing to be a part of as a student athlete, because you get to watch it, in the college ranks, and you get to watch it in the NHL. And we certainly didn't want our season decided on a shootout. So it was a great chance for us. Okay, so if my state tournament is going to be decided on 3-on-3, well, I got to have an opportunity to practice that. We don't want that to be the first environment for our athletes to get an outcome of 3-on-3. So I think it was last year or the year before, we agreed that we would add a second overtime, and it would be 3-on-3, just to give the kids an opportunity to get an outcome. And I think it helps from the seeding side, because now you've got an outcome. It's a win or it's a loss. Okay, where sometimes that 8 minutes of 5-on-5 wouldn't produce a winner or a loser. And I think in this case, the 3-on-3 is super exciting.
Unless you're a goalie.
Yeah, right. I mean, it can go from 2-on-1 games potentially won to, oh my gosh, they're on a breakaway the other way. So it's add some excitement to that 5 minutes of hockey. But yeah, that's a change that we've had to educate referees on. I mean, it's one of those things that, the email gets sent out, and I think we all glaze over the first 7 bullet points of that email, and maybe sometimes we don't see the whole thing, but I think it's a good thing for our game. I think it's a good thing for kids to experience, especially in the regular seasons, knowing that is potentially going to happen to them when their season's on the line down the road.
Oh, I saw one. It was in a tournament, a girls tournament over in Eau Claire, where it was the 3-on-3 overtime, and I'll say it turned into a 2-on-0 breakout, and one of the girls on the approach team threw her stick. Throwing your stick is not a good idea, but she turned a 2-on-0, with a chance for rebounds, into just a penalty shot with no rebound. So she actually got an advantage out of throwing her stick.
It's really interesting. I mean, we've had breakaway on one end, goalie makes a save, breakaway on the other end, goalie makes a save. The kids are trying to figure out when they have to change and how you change. I mean, I think about our game against Stevens Point where we scored in the double overtime. That was a situation where we were breaking the puck out and the guy broke a stick and changed to the bench. And in that moment, it created a mini 1-on-0 for a little bit. And, it creates situations that are exciting for fans and a little bit chaotic for coaches, but
And hell for goalies.
goalies got to know that it might be a 3-on-0 coming at them. You don't know.
You see a lot in the NHL when guys, when they have the 3-on-3, guys will shoot and the puck will ring around, and all of a sudden, you're going back the other way super quick. So it's a fun way of getting some high octane hockey going.
I don't know if anybody in Wisconsin has done it, but over in the KHL in their overtime, Sergei Fedorov in right situations has been pulling his goalie to make that 3-on-3 into a 4-on-3. Right players have to be on the ice, but I'm like, that's a good way to make sure that overtime doesn't end in a tie. Either you're going to score up 4-3 or you're giving them an empty net.
Right. Wow. That'd be an interesting way to handle it. I have not seen that, but yeah, it's no different than pulling the goalie, but you're just tied this time.
BJ, something to put in your bag of tricks.
Right. I'll put it behind my ear.
Another issue, I don't know if this is something the coaches even discuss with the WIA when it comes to like rule changes and stuff. I'm sure we all saw the news last week. A hockey player in Connecticut, a high school hockey player, died after taking a skate to the neck. And USA Hockey does not mandate net guards. Hockey Canada does, Hockey Europe does, the IIHF does, but USA Hockey doesn't. Is that kind of conversation of mandating net guards something that you guys could have with the WIA? Or are they just going to follow what the NHF and FHS rulebook says?
Well, there's always Wisconsin adaptations to the NFHS rulebook. I think anytime there's a situation, like the young boy in Connecticut, I think it just brings light to things that we can make our game safer. There's ways to do it. We haven't had any conversations at this time to make any rule changes in that direction. I think a lot of it will be predicated, even though they're different entities between USA Hockey and NFHS, they seem to align similarly in some of their rulings and how penalties are called and the way the game's played. So, I think it would take USA Hockey to do something for us to look at it. But certainly, anytime it's no different than, when there's a paralyzation or something like that, and how you teach the game and how those changes evolve. Unfortunately, with tragedy, sometimes, it'll be interesting. I'm sure it's going to be something we talk about in the spring when we have our annual meeting.
Speaking of
you go ahead, MJ.
Go ahead, Junior. Go ahead and finish.
I was going to say the last thing that was on our notes here. Obviously we're planning on, the in-person state tournament and everything again this year. On the other hand, with Omicron, most of the state's hospitals are full. Is the active, what is the WIAA doing to monitor the situation right now and, stay on top of things in that respect?
Well, I just had this conversation last week with LeVar, because obviously as things have changed here over the last month, we're not going in a great direction in terms of how, the COVID cases throughout our state and just the capacity of everything. So I asked him, I said, hey, what's the backup plan here? And his comment to me was, everyone that held a state tournament a year ago, they were asked in a scenario, would you be willing to hold a state tournament again this year? And his response was, yes, those places would host the state tournaments again. So in the event that, Dane County or the Alliant Energy Center isn't willing to host the event, I think they have secured backup plans where we would have the alternative. So in our case, I think it would be held in Rapids or a similar type arena again, which, I think all of us want to return to the normal and have a normal state tournament down in Madison, but we also understand how things change, and things change pretty rapidly here over the last month. So it'll be interesting. I think all of us are just waiting to get to that point and see what decisions are made.
Okay, so when you say Rapids again, are you talking about like last year? That's just for the championship game, and like the semifinals would be played at the home arenas.
Yeah, I think we would follow that model.
Okay.
I think that's a detail to be worked out, obviously, in that event. But I mean, I think there were some positives to having a state semifinal in your home arena, especially for the team that's hosting it. I just think that was a special thing for those communities that got the opportunity to host those, or whether, there's some positive things that came out of it. And I think, obviously we want to be down at the Alliant and run our traditional, banquet and festivities that go along with celebrating a high school hockey season. But we all know that, if there is change, we'll adapt to it and give the athletes a really good experience. Last year we had the virtual state banquet, and there were some really positive things that came out of that. I thought it was done well, and I think the kids got, partnering with you guys was really good with that. And the Sauer Foundation, and I think we did as well as we could with what we had last year. And if that's the route we got to take, we'll do it again.
Brian Brandt, the Wisconsin Hockey Coaches Association president. Anything else anybody wants to bother him about? Got to get those kids to bed, Brian.
I do. It's my turn. Home on Monday night.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Brian. Brian Brandt's been our guest. Talk about many things going on in the WIAA and the state of hockey here in Wisconsin. Let's go to our games of the week. Burglar, you got to see Pines in the Wisconsin Valley Union.
I did. We both did. Bill and I went down there. Interesting teams. Wisconsin Valley Union and Northland Pines. Each team is led by. Each team has one dominant player, and both of them are defenders. For Northland Pines, it is Grace Witkoff, and for Wisconsin Valley Union is Leah Pavelski. Even though they play defense, they are each the leading scorer on their team. I mean, you watch. It doesn't take you long to watch the game to know that for each team, they're the straw that stirs the drink. Between the two, Grace Witkoff takes more chances. She rushes the puck up the ice. She goes in. In the game that we saw, she scored the first goal. She brought the puck in along the boards, cut towards the slot, fired a shot, and then, unlike a lot of players, who they shoot and then peel off, she followed her shot, so she got the rebound, and it was the rebound that went in. The second goal was that she scored was just a cannon of a slap shot from the point that beat the goalie up high over her glove side. But yeah, Grace, and she takes a lot of chances because she's fast enough to get back. Somebody gets behind her, except Leah Pavelski. Leah Pavelski did get behind her one time, and Grace Witkoff could not catch Leah Pavelski. Leah Pavelski is the same type of player for Wisconsin Valley Union. She's not as adventurous. I think she doesn't quite have the depth of players behind her to back her up that Witkoff does. But yeah, it was fun. You watching these two kind of, you could tell they were kind of, keeping an eye on each other. I think the coaches made sure that when one was on the ice, the other one, was always on the ice to stop them.
We even saw an example of that with Pavelski. I think it was in the first period. She made a nice play coming down into the zone, and she lost it right before she got the shot off. The defender came in, and Pines turned around and went the other way. And even though Pavelski had stepped up, none of their wings had dropped back to take her spot. So Pines had a good chance going the other way. Sophie Saunders managed to break it up. That was Leah's defensive partner for the day. But yeah, I think when you're a defenseman and you see your team not backing you up sometimes when you make those rushes, it makes you a little less anxious to make those rushes.
Yeah, that's like I always thought, watching a lot of, you watch a lot of games on college or NHL where you have one of those offensive defensemen. And the thing that lets that offensive defenseman do that is having a strong partner, who can handle the 2-on-1 that you're gonna leave them, because you leave them a lot of 2-on-1s. So yeah, I think Grace Whitcraft had a little stronger supporting cast, but those are the two players that dominated the game. And Whitkoff's team came out on top.
Tell one of the most anticipated games of the season down here in the southern part of the state. To I guess you can call them heavyweights, Waunakee and Edgewood. Waunakee, made a top 6 appearance. Edgewood top 6 appearance, and those two teams got together and got to play in the Badger Challenge, and you were there.
Yeah, thanks, MJ. I was there for actually 3 games that day. I caught the first 2 games of the day, Milton and Baraboo, where Milton ended up with a 3-2 victory with a only goal in the 3rd period to win that one. Caught the RWD DeForest game and saw something I had never seen in high school hockey in that game, where the referees made the goalie go serve a penalty. He got a 2-10 for a misconduct. And so a little bit of excitement going on then to get us into the game that was our game of the week, which was Madison Edgewood at Waunakee. And, Waunakee came into this game with an 11-game winning streak. And Edgewood came in there with one thing in their mind, and that was to put an end to the streak. And they basically 12 seconds into the game were up 1-0. They're up 1-0, 12 seconds in, and also picked up their first penalty 12 seconds in. So it was an interesting game. 3-1 at the end of the first period, 4-2 at the end of 2, and Edgewood scores one late in the third period to end up winning the game 5-2. The one thing that really impressed me with Edgewood, last week I talked about the speed of Waunakee in the second period. Edgewood just seemed to be able to get to every loose puck that was out there. The speed and going after it, they were always right there. And it seemed to be like 2 people all the time. It was never just one. 2 to 3 people always after the puck. And the one thing that really impressed me with Edgewood is you never saw them flat-footed. Every one of their skaters were continuously on the move. And, that was, I think, the biggest difference in the game was the constant movement and never being able to catch Edgewood flat-footed.
You got talented forwards for Edgewood like JJ Weebush and Cody Menzel. And plus, they play pretty good defense as well. And to shut down Waunakee, who had been, what did we say last week, averaging 7 goals a game and holding to 2, say they did a pretty good job.
Well, they did a good job. And the senior Mac Reed and sophomore David Emmerich are the 2 that we've spoken a lot about throughout the season. And they were getting frustrated. Because Edgewood was stopping them, and Edgewood was letting them know they were stopping them.
Played a physical game.
It's physical, but it was a game that had a lot of jawing going on.
I'm sure these kids all know each other.
I got to speak to David Emmerich's dad, David Emmerich, and a little bit before the game, and he did mention, that a lot of them played Team Wisconsin together, and have been to the Jets together and stuff like that. So they to me it seems a lot different with sports now than like when Burglar and I were in high school and stuff. Now the athletes play all out of season in the same sport with all these other athletes, where you didn't really do that when we were younger. There wasn't all those places to go do that. And then again, I was never a great enough athlete to be able to go play all those other places too. But that's a total other story. But they get to do that now, so they get to learn each other's tendencies a little bit more. And the other thing that also does is you get to learn the tendency of what gets underneath another player's skin.
Yes.
And if you can take a player, and I don't care if you are a star player or not, if you can get under their skin and get them out of their game, that has a lot to do.
Couldn't agree more.
But no, Badger Challenge, talk to Neil Matson, the Milton coaches, and Eric Olson, and they all love that the Badger Challenge came along this year, and they hope it's something that they continue to do going down the road.
Sounds like it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, MJ.
Okay. It's time for our Radisson Madison Players of the Week.
I just want to make one more comment on the Badger Challenge thing. Like, Bill and I have talked for a long time. We love the Badgerland Conference, where they play each other one time during the season, and then they use those outcomes to seed their conference tournament. And we like the fact that the Great Northern Conference has picked that up and done it. And like the Badger East and the Badger West, I mean, it's the same, they had the same name, but they never really did anything, about it. But I really like this idea of, late in the season, the top team in the Badger East play the top team in the Badger West. I think that's a great idea. And I do hope that's something that they continue with, because little things like that just make everything more fun, I think.
Yeah, I think if you can replace just some of your one-off regular season games with some kind of event like that, I think it's just, it's more fun. Like, Wausau West plays Eau Claire Memorial every year anyway. They play Notre Dame Academy every year anyway. But this year, they had the little tournament in Wausau with Onalaska. That's a good thing. More stuff like that. I've been arguing for the Cardinal Cup for 10 years now. I want it to happen. Sun Prairie, Middleton, Chippewa Falls, and Fond du Lac, they need to have an in-season tournament every year to determine the one true Cardinal.
Wasn't there a fifth one though? Wasn't it Pacelli Cardinal?
Pacelli was, but
Pacelli's a co-op. No, they don't even call themselves. They're a co-op, and they have a different name now. It's not the Cardinal. They're not just.
I think even
Cardinals.
Even the game we went to, I think they just called themselves the Stevens Point Pacelli Co-op.
Okay.
Anyway, we were supposed to talk about players of the week.
What?
Or were you going to say something else?
No, I was going to tell you who the player of the weeks are.
Oh, it says you. Okay, never mind. All right.
Do you want to do it?
No, I don't.
Goaltender from Hayward, Logan Abrick, is our boys player of the week. On Tuesday, 29 saves, gave up 1 goal, 6-1 win over Regis Altoona McDonald. Friday, what a performance. 43 saves and a 1-0 win over KMMO. Turns right around Saturday, makes 65 saves, 2 goals allowed, 2-1 double overtime loss to number 2 ranked Rice Lake. So Logan Abrick had a very, very good week, and he's very worthy of our boys player of the week. And on the girls' side, the ECA Stars, Addison, is it Grolke? We'll go with that. Tuesday, 2 goals in a 4-2 loss to the Central Wisconsin Storm, and also 2 goals in a 5-4 loss to Hudson. So Addison, congratulations to you, as you are our girls Radisson Madison player of the week on the girls' side.
Well, yeah. Just a couple of things I wanted to say about the players of the week. One, with Addison Krelke, if you look at the Eau Claire area Stars record this year, it's dismal. But you look at, these 2 games, 4-2 loss to Central Wisconsin, 5-4 loss to Hudson. These are top teams. They're playing close. They're playing close games, but always seeming to come up short. And Addison Grolke gives them a little hope for the future because she's just a freshman and she's apparently starting to catch on, how the high school game is played. She had herself a big week. And apparently the Tuesday game, apparently the 29 saves for Logan Abrick was just run of the mill stuff, but apparently he got a lot of it. He caught a lot of people's attention over the weekend. That was a tournament that they were playing in. And because we got flooded with Logan Abrick nominations. So apparently a lot of people noticed his play over the weekend, and everybody that saw him play sent us a Player of the Week nomination.
It's got an older brother.
His older brother was runner up. Yeah, he was runner up when he was a senior in our Kirk Gobbinspec Award. I think it's still the closest vote we've had. I'd have to look at the spreadsheets, but he was runner up, and then Logan seems to be following right along. That was the first time where I ever got a Player of the Week nomination from an opposing coach, where all they did is send me a picture of the scoreboard at the end of the game where it showed the shots. And he said, we won with 5 seconds left in the second overtime. This is insane. So yeah, that was a pretty good one. He does lead the state in save percentage. If you look at qualifying goaltenders, he's at 652. The next closest behind him is at 643, which at this point in the season, a tenth of a percentage point is actually kind of a lot. Or 942 and 943, or 952 and 943. I can't talk. I'm on drugs right now. I had surgery today.
Oh my goodness. Wisdom teeth. Boy, they come back and they hurt if you don't take care of them. But Junior's sticking it out tonight.
Oh yeah, just to throw. He mentioned the difference between 942 and 953.
952 and 943.
Okay. Let's throw some common numbers, like a goalie whose save percentage is an even 900 and a goalie whose save percentage is 950. How much better is the 950 goalie? He's twice as good as the goalie with the 900 save percentage, because out of 20 shots, he let in 1. Out of 20 shots, the other goalie let in 2. He's twice as good. So yeah, between 940 and 950, there's still, that's a big difference when it comes to goaltending.
Still, when you're getting 940, 950 in high school, you're doing pretty doggone good. His brother Gavin, as we mentioned him, he had the chance. He plays for Army in college. And he came down to Madison and put on a show against the Badgers.
Oh, I remember that.
They didn't win, but boy, he played well. I watched that game. He gave them every chance to stay in that game, and he played fantastic. So those are our 2 players of the week. Junior, now this is your subject. This is what you thrive in. It's that top 6 polls. You got D1, D2, and the girls' polls. The votes are in.
But I put burglar on the show notes this week because I don't want to talk that much all at once.
Because you're on drugs.
Yes.
All right.
Burglar's normally on drugs, so he's used to it.
All right, Bill, go right ahead.
All right. Division 1. No change at the top. Although apparently I did send the wrong tweet out. I was at the game where Oakland Memorial played Notre Dame, as we talked about earlier in the Warriors showcase. I had sent out a thing that it was number 2 Notre Dame against number 3 Oakland Memorial. Apparently Oakland Memorial was number 2 and Notre Dame was number 3. But now Notre Dame falls to number 4. After losing to Eau Claire Memorial again. Eau Claire North moves up. So it's Hudson, number 1, Eau Claire Memorial number 2, Eau Claire North now at number 3, Notre Dame at number 4, Nina Hortonville Monash at 5, and Madison Edgewood at 6. I believe those stay the same. In Division 2, St. Mary Springs is back to a unanimous number 1, followed by Rice Lake, Emory, New Richmond. Those stay the same. Oregon moves up 1 spot to number 5, and Baldwin Woodville moves into the top 6, edging out Mosinee. So that's new one there in the number 6 spot in Division 2. The girls stay the same at the top, Bay Area, followed by Fox Cities and Central Wisconsin. The Metro Lynx move up 1 spot. St. Croix Valley moves down 1 spot. And Unalaska replaces Western Wisconsin in the number 6 spot on the girls' side.
Look at that Division 1, 1, 2, and 3, all Big Rivers Conference teams.
Yep.
You know, when I was looking at the D1, you know who we haven't seen this year in D1 in the polls at all? And that's USM. Usually they're bouncing around in there somewhere, but they haven't been in there this year. Maybe I don't know, say changing the guard. Maybe they just, have got, they got a new regime there, and I don't know. It just seems weird they didn't mention them.
The last couple of years, Eau Claire Memorial hasn't really been in the top 6 either, and sometimes you just have a down year or two. And now this year, like the team that I watched on Saturday, they are fantastic. The fact that they were good enough that I'm like, wow, they're not the number 1 team in the state. Hudson is, and like they were really good.
The team that's kind of surprises me that hasn't broke into the top 6 yet is Waukesha. They're sitting there. I think they're sitting at about 12-1, 12-2, somewhere in there. And
Tyler Dale is almost a one-man wrecking crew for that team. That kid can rack it up quick, and he's only a junior, and can put a lot of points on the board.
Yeah, and again, you have to play. It's kind of like with Wanakee. You have to play some of the top teams. You can rack up as many wins as you want against the lesser teams, but if you want to get recognized as one of the top teams in the state, you're gonna have to beat one of the top teams in the state.
Well, was it a couple years ago that they were really, really good up there, and right in our top? Actually, I think it was when we were doing top 10s yet. And I see that their one loss that they had this year is a 6-4 loss to Wausau West, their 3rd game of the season. But then like you said, they really haven't played anybody since then. They beat USM. USM's just a little above 500. And they're really not going to get anything until they hit the sectionals. When you look at their schedule, there's less to play.
So I looked up Gavin Abrick at Army while you guys were doing all that. He is currently ranked 8th in Division 1 in save percentage. Army is 8-7-3 when he's in net, which is 8-7-3 is basically just a 500 team. But yeah, he is 8th in Division 1 in save percentage at .928.
What's Army's record overall?
Their other goalie is 0-2.
Oh, okay.
So 8-9-3. So he's doing fantastic. Somebody ought to draft him.
Draft him, or he's going to get a look for the free agent route.
He's only a sophomore. He's got a couple more years to go.
But... Yeah.
Well, and plus,
got a commitment to finish.
Then he's got a 4-year commitment to the Army. That comes along with the free ride.
Maybe he'll get the David Robinson treatment. Yeah, he's eighth. We don't see, I looked it up a couple of years ago, all of our award winners, Pavelski, Druiski, Dobbinspec, And most of the Pavelski and Drewski winners have played Division I hockey. The rest have played Division III hockey. You know, they've all gone on and done really well, but our goalies just get no love, to the point where some of them didn't even get a look in junior hockey. And that's something we've seen from Wisconsin for a long time. Our goalies just get no respect, but seeing him at Army 8th in the nation in save percentage, it warms my heart.
Well, see,
Look at how tall does it say he is?
Oh, I closed the page.
I would bet he's probably about 6'4".
He's not a short kid.
and anyway, the mission of those teams, like, well, my brother played for the Air Force Academy way back in the day, and he said their mission, I mean, besides, you know, winning hockey game, was to play against these other college teams and show them that you didn't need Canadians on your team to have a good college hockey team, because the Air Force Academy, like the Army, you know, that's all American kids. There's, you know, they're not Canadians, they're Americans.
6'3", 170.
6'3", 170.
Yeah, so he hasn't gained any weight since we saw him in high school.
No. Then you look at a kid like, you know, came out of Waukesha, Garrett Larson. What was he? Maybe 5'10", 5'11". I mean, he wasn't that tall.
No, those goalies, if you're under 6 feet, you get no love at all from next level.
I would agree with that.
They expect they want everybody to play the percentages, be a 6'5" butterfly goalie, do that stupid HV thing, give up that top corner. Yeah.
And get beat through the armpit.
That's it.
They're bringing in a sumo wrestler as the foreign exchange students for goalie.
Well, he's in the wrong sport if he's a wrestler. Upcoming games of the week: Tuesday, number 2, Fox City's taking on number 3, Central Wisconsin Storm. Should be a great game. That's on the girls' side. On the boys' side, well, talking about the Big Rivers Conference, number 1, Hudson taking on number 2, Eau Claire Memorial. Burglar, you making the trip over for the Thursday game?
Actually, I'm going to do both of these games. I know. I mean, we've been, you know, making it a point to, you know, cover, you know, not just focus on, you know, the top 4, you know, the top 6 teams in each division. It's, you know, cover the whole spectrum. I mean, we cover the whole state of hockey, and we've done all different games. I looked at the schedule this week, and, you know, number 2, Fox City's playing Central Wisconsin at Green Heck, which is like, you know, 3 miles from my house. You know, yeah, I'll go to that game. I want to see that. I think, you know, our readers would like to see us cover that game. And, you know, on the boys' side, number 1 and number 2 playing each other. It's only an hour and a half from here to Eau Claire. I can make it over there on a Thursday night, you know, just sneak out of work early a little bit and drive over there, you know, maybe sneak out of work even earlier and, you know, go hit Mandy's before the game. I don't know. It's hard to say.
That should be, well, actually both games should be really, really good. Fox City Stars taking on the Central Wisconsin Storm up at Green Heck, right?
Yep.
Say Green Heck.
Yeah, Green Heck.
And Thursday, number 1 Hudson is at Eau Claire, so that means they would be taking a Memorial over at Hobbs.
One other thing I wanted to mention about the Eau Claire Memorial team, the thing that right away that impressed me about that team, in their zone, when they get control of when one of their guys gets the puck in their zone, it's like 2 passes and they're gone, they're out. I mean, they break out of their zone. You give them they're out of their zone like right now. And I asked Coach Collins about that. He said, because all of their defensemen are great skaters and great puck handlers. So once they get control of the puck, I mean, they look up, you know, if the pass is there, they make it. If it's not, they skate it. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have to score on the rush, because you don't spend a whole lot of time in their offensive zone. or in their defense, in their zone. Yeah, they get it out quick.
Going off the top of my head, this game might be able to watch this one online on Old Abe TV. That's one game they might be carrying. So
Well, doesn't
check
Hudson do
the
something
websites.
too?
Yeah, and
I
Hudson
think-
Hockey will probably have it too.
So Burglar will be there, but if you want to watch it for yourself, there you have it. You can find it online.
I think Bill's going to be there with me because I think Grandma's already said she'll take the kids.
All right, good deal. Our final thoughts of the night. First off, I want to give the first final thought. Congratulations to Dodgeville. You are been voted as the coldest rink in Wisconsin, according to Waha. They had a little poll there, and Dodgeville beat out the Cube. So congratulations, Dodgeville. They don't even have a high school team.
I still have a hard time with that. Dodgeville is probably the southernmost rink in the state. Are there any rinks farther south than Dodgeville?
Beloit.
All right, one.
But I mean, when you look at the Madison area, I mean, that's way out 151. That's, 20, I want to say 20 miles maybe down 151. Junior, can you calculate that?
No, I'm on drugs.
You're on.
Would Monroe be a little further south than Dodgeville?
What's that, Del?
Monroe's a little further south than Dodgeville, ain't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, Monroe is also.
All right.
But I mean, they don't even have a high school team. And I can tell you, I've been there 5 years ago. Their locker rooms were like ice shanties. What do you do?
I love a cold locker room.
You would, because you're on drugs. Let's go back to the rest of our stuff here. Our final thought. Who wants to talk about stuff here? Who wants to take the lead on our final thoughts of the state tournament donations and the high school Hobie Baker Awards are coming up. And that's where we make a plea to the coaches to name some players.
All right, Del, why don't you take the Hobie Baker thing?
Well, once again, as we pointed out for the past few years, Wisconsin does get the highest percentage of players nominated for the Hobie Baker Character Award here. But there's no reason if you have seniors on your team that we shouldn't have 100% participation from all of our boys and girls high school hockey teams in getting a player nominated for this. It's, really simple. We do have a thing on the website, and Jim Hayes sends out emails once a week. And I saw it in my inbox today. So coaches, please get your player nominated for this award. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Burglar.
All right. Yep. And again, we like I said before, we had the folks at Sport Engine. That's the company that does all the back end stuff, all the data stuff that powers our site. We run on their platform. We had them do an upgrade for us to make the site more mobile friendly. And it is very mobile friendly. It's just not very advertiser friendly. So we don't have the ads showing up on the site that we used to. So therefore we're not getting revenue. And we started, Trasher and I started this site back in 2001. When George Bauman George Bauman had been doing the high school hockey report for years, which was a newsletter he mailed out weekly. And when he retired from it, I thought about taking over it, and I didn't. There was a guy down in Milwaukee who took over that report from him, and he went, and his site was horrible. I asked him, because I was doing website stuff at the time. I asked him if I could, help him with his website. He kind of blew me off. So I said, "To heck with it." And I stole Trasher from him, and we made our own website. And it was never to make money. My wife and I, the lovely Mrs. Berg, we've been going to the state tournament every year since 1997. And our only goal for doing this site was, once we started getting advertising revenues, to make enough money on it to pay for the state tournament. So we can get an all expense paid trip to the state tournament every year. That's our goal, to make enough advertising money to cover our state tournament costs. And this year, when we redesigned the site, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot, and the advertising revenue stopped. So we're asking for donations to cover our expenses and stuff at the state tournament. So if you appreciate the stuff we do, if you've got a booster club or whatever and want to, send some money our way so we can pay for the hotels and the internet costs and the other stuff we have, tickets and stuff at the state tournament, that would be greatly appreciated. In the meantime, we're working to get those ads back on the site. But unfortunately, when we joined the Sports Engine Network, it was just a small little group, guys that were college friends over at UW Eau Claire. And they started it, and then they moved to Minneapolis, and they got involved with the Minneapolis Star Tribune. And I think we were their first big pickup outside of the state of Minnesota. So they liked us and they worked with us and helped developing the site and stuff. But then they sold to NBC Sports, and like all of the guys that we knew are gone. NBC Sports is this big conglomerate thing, and we mean nothing to them. So we've been trying to get them to help us get the ads back on the site, and they just kind of ignore us. So we need a little help. We're going to be there one way or another. Well, if there is a tournament there. Anyway, but if you could help us out, that'd be great. If not, thanks for listening.
Pretty cut and dry there. But yeah, I remember when we met with a Sport Engine years ago.
We met. We sat
We
in the
went-
room
we-
with the owners, the guys who started it all, and
I
they
want to say the guy's name was it Ryan?
no
Something like that.
Carson.
Carson. Well, Carson was one. Carson Wentz was one, and anyway, yeah. But yeah, we met
Justin
Justin.
Koffenberg.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
He was
Nice
the one.
guys, and
Yeah.
they built it up. Cashed
I'm s-
out. They've got bought out.
I bet they
probably went on to start something else.
cashed out all right. Probably made a pretty good piece of coin for it. Well, guys, it's getting late. I need to get to bed. 4:30 comes pretty early. So anybody got anything else? I guess that's a no. Junior, hope your mouth gets feeling better. Kick that drug
Yeah,
habit.
me too.
Del, good to see you.
Good to see
Burglar?
you all. Good night, John Boy.
Okay, Mariel. We got some good games of the week. We'll get some stuff up about that, and hopefully everybody will check in on that and take a good look at the website and help us out for state tournament donations. So for you, the listener or person watching, Brian Brandt, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Mike Hammett. We'll see you next week on This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey.